be one of the greatest, that is a vow, yeah, that is a promise. Always wanted to be famous, just being real, yeah, just being honest. My haters gon' always be nameless, give them no clout.
Hey now, say now, it's your boy Isaac 10. We here today, talk with 10 with my boy Santo Cole. So we don't put the S on it, though. It's a Texas thing. Santo Cole. Yeah, introduce yourself, man. Tell us about where you from, your upbringing. I know you're from St. Louis, but the camera don't know that. From the L.
Yeah, St. Louis, man. My name is Ron Santo. I go by Santo. Entrepreneur, investor. Do a multitude of things. Business coaching, real estate, commercial janitorial. And I've been in Dallas about 10 years now. Okay. And that's where I started my real entrepreneurial journey. I did some other things back in the day, but yeah. So that's why I became legit. So I'm the oldest, officially the oldest. I got 3 younger brothers, 2 younger sisters. Some of them are way younger. My dad remarried and whatnot. Okay. He moved down to Atlanta. And
was y'all like the Brady Bunch that you
No, not necessarily. So initially, we was in St. Louis, and me, my closer in age younger brother and sister, we pretty much grew up together. I had another brother that passed, and then some years down the line, that's when I had my youngest brother and sister. Okay. Who they live in Atlanta right now. But yeah.
Did you think you being the oldest shaped you to be an entrepreneur?
I'm not so much as being an entrepreneur, but it definitely put me in a leadership role a lot earlier in life. Okay. Just growing up in one of those families where it was mostly my mom. So I had to take care of my younger brother and sister while she went to work, try to be a kid, play, but still make sure you know where they at all times. I might have to throw them something in the microwave or whatnot. So it definitely put me in a leadership role and a role where I'm thinking a lot independently.
Was it a more religious household?
I wouldn't say it was a strict religious household with me, my mom, and my brother and sister. Now, when my mom remarried, it was a definitely religious household. She married a preacher, pastor. So that was around, when I was 12, 13. And so we was like the head of the church. So I lived that life for a few years as well, too.
With them splitting up, did you feel a shift, or did you feel like you changed?
My mom and my stepdad?
No, your mom and your original dad.
So my mom and my father, it was a lot younger. I would say, they broke up or, split when I was about, if I can remember, like 7, 8-ish around that time. So I guess that was around the time when I was, taking more of that role of like that leadership. I know that's super young, but like, even after my mom would go to work, my cousins would be there. But of course, it was, our house. We was there every day. You still visiting, even though you're older than us, right? So I still was, just kind of, I was just naturally becoming molded of, being the leader of the house, the man of the house, that type of situation. So it was taking a definite toll on who I became.
You probably stayed with your mother. How was your father-son relationship after they split?
So it was still there. It was, a time where I felt like it was, off and on for a while. But we did the things where me and my brother would go and stay with him for the full summer. So we stayed on the south side of St. Louis sometimes, you know what I mean? And so that relationship, it got better over time, right? That's what I will say. As I got older, it definitely got a lot better. And we're real tight now, so.
With you being an entrepreneur, how did that mold you with your today's kids? Because being an entrepreneur is one of the hardest things to do, and also be there for your kids day in and day out if you not making $1 million a day and got right. people to assist
take care of everything.
Yeah.
So I try my best to incorporate my business into my everyday life as who I am as a person, right? So anytime that I could take my children over to a house that I'm flipping, or they can just get information about stocks and manage. It's like, it's all to me, the best way for me to do is, teaching. I think that's come natural to me, just teaching.
Include them in your business.
Right, exactly. Just including them into my day-to-day business. And the part that got me into entrepreneurship full-time was the freedom, right? Okay. So I like to be able to pick them up after school, take them to school if ever I can, and just spend that extra time with them, right, during the week instead of it have to be after school or when I get off, that type of stuff. So that kind of drove me into entrepreneurship, was definitely that time free.
Because what brought you to Dallas before you was an entrepreneur, you was a chef, right?
Yeah, so I was a chef up in Columbia, Missouri, for the Missouri Tigers. I lived in Columbia, Missouri, which is like 2 hours away from St. Louis. That's where I finished middle school and high school. So I lived up there for a number of years. Shout out to Como.
Shout out to Como.
Yeah, Columbia, Missouri. But yeah, so I was a chef up there, and then just kind of getting into some trouble, and a lot of different things were happening with my life. I was making a transition mentally, right, and just trying to get away from a lot of things, and it was just that time, right? Sometimes you in a space where you just need to move and get a change of scenery, and so I transferred to the Mavericks.
Okay, did you go to school to be a chef, or just something that fell in your
No,
lap?
Because I was part of the team for over 7.5 years, and I kind of, I wouldn't say I kind of started with the new system that they had brought together, and so I got put into the team lead and the sous chef and so on and so forth, and so I kind of, kind of graduated into that.
Okay, yeah, and you've been in Dallas 10 years. That's when you really took on entrepreneurship. What was your first business that you landed?
So, if I may, when I say I've been an entrepreneur almost my whole life, but I officially came legit down here, like I used to sell CDs. Remember LimeWire and all that stuff? Yeah. So when I was about 15, like I used to burn CDs for people, right? In junior high, people used to come and give me their list. And I used to burn CDs. So
it's always in your bloodline.
Yeah, exactly, right? So then when I officially moved to Dallas, I started a clothing line.
But I think that's all black people, because the culture is
like hustle.
Hustle. I hate to say it's sell drugs or athletes, but right. We look at hustlers and entrepreneurship. Right. So I think we all had some Pokemon cards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can't say not all, because there's only 1 or 2 people that stand out in school that everybody go get the CDs from, but they usually become DJs.
Right? No. And to be honest, no, I didn't try to DJ, but to be honest, what happened with that low key is that I went to St. Louis, because this is about the time I was in Columbia. I went to St. Louis for the summer, and my cousin, that's what he did. Okay. And then so like I just brought the game from St. Louis back to where I was at in Columbia, and so that's why I was like, yeah, let me, you know what I'm saying, like let me figure out how to do this and do my same hustle too, you know what I mean?
I was listening from somebody else from St. Louis that had the same story. He was,
and he became a DJ though.
He was Ali off the St. Louis.
Oh yeah, Big Lee.
Yep. And brought it back to St. Louis. So y'all be stealing a lot.
Hey man, they be saying ain't nothing new under the sun, man.
Man, St. Louis, the more I get out, the St. Louis got a chip on their shoulder. Y'all think y'all the pioneers of a lot.
Hey, St. Louis is a very prideful city, man. That's for sure.
It seems like all the major cities is, though. It seems like all the major top 10 cities very, think they started a lot of stuff.
Hey.
So you moved to Dallas. What was your first venture in Dallas?
So I started my clothing line. Like I said, that was something that I was doing.
You still got it?
So it's more like pieces, right? Okay. It's for more like people that know. Like right now, it's full time, just passion, right? Okay. So and that's what it should have been in the first place, right? I was trying to make it more of a business at the time, but just being who I am is more of a passion, right? In regards to the clothing line, the clothing business. I kind of started as a business, but it should have been more of a passion, and then that way I would approach it a little bit different. I probably would have been doing a lot more with it if I approached it like that, but
with entrepreneurs, I think everybody need merchandise though, because you never know when we're gonna blow
exactly.
up.
So
you gotta have something to buy. That's another source of income.
Right, exactly. So I definitely got that game figured out, and I'm well rounded in knowing where to go get stuff from now. So in regards to like any of my other business ventures, yeah, kind of already got that.
With your clothes, do you keep it U.S. based or you outsource to Alibaba or China?
So it was all U.S. based,
Okay.
because like I said, it was at a point where I didn't really take it to the next level. It got to a point where it was like more private pieces, people who knew, let me design something for you personally, that type of things.
Are you more on the sewing side? Because I got my own clothing line too, but I'm not on the sewing.
No.
I'm just on the, hey, I want this, there, that, here.
Yeah, I'm more
my
of the
name on the back.
I'm more of the find the plug type of person.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
definitely wasn't sewing. Design for sure, right? Just thinking of different designs. I got so many designs in my phones. You know, when you see all your stuff transferred to your new phone, like I see so many old photos of like where I was like drawing stuff. 'Cause I used to have one of those no kids where you had the stylus and stuff with it, right?
With the pen.
Yeah, with the pen. So I just had, I definitely went from scratch when I was starting my clothing line. But yeah, I didn't do any sewing or anything
It
like that.
seemed like you started where it wasn't too many resources. IG wasn't out giving you the game, the day-to-day game.
Oh
so
yeah, no,
there's
exactly.
a lot of
And
trials
I just
tribulations
wasn't
with that.
thinking about that, right? I still had a lot of the old school, one of them kids that played outside, right? So it wasn't all about everything on the computer, right? I'm just taking it straight from my brain to paper, just designing.
Did you do any fashion shows, or you just covered local word of mouth? Or?
Yeah, No, so I actually went from designing to selling to being in some local boutiques and stores.
Okay.
So I didn't hit the fashion show as far as like with a package of clothing or anything like that. But went to some local boutiques. I had that going, and then just kind of a lot of people that was like actually purchasing and buying them.
Okay. You still in any boutiques?
No, not right now. Like I said, from being like kind of like more personal and one-off pieces, right?
Once the ebook type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So after the clothing line, what was the second business?
So with my clothing line, I started my cleaning company, my commercial janitorial company, Pure Elegance Cleaning. And so that started again because I hated my job. So I started,
Which was the shelf for the
No. So the Chef for the Mavericks thing happened because I was 26 at the time, I was 25, 26, and they were just trying to have me on for the season, and they didn't have like hours and stuff like I was used to. So once the Maverick season was over, they wasn't really coming with the hours, and now I'm like, I moved all the way from Missouri to get hours. I gotta make a living. And the lady at the time, she showed me a piece of paper, said the cost of living in Dallas was the same as St. Louis and Kansas City. I'm like, I don't care what this paper say. I don't care who printed it. It's not the same. You know what I mean?
Can't be the same.
Not at all. Absolutely not. So then, what happened was I started doing construction. Okay. And I started laying water line out there in the colony, and I used to hate it. Some things I can't say, but yeah, I used to hate it because a certain group of people was, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what we want to say. Especially they're racist.
Yeah, so I mean, was dealing with that, man, and then I remember one time we dug a ditch and a backhoe almost fell on us. Okay. Right, like the ground collapsed and it was like sliding in, so we had to, get on the ladder to get out the hole. And I'm like, I can't be dealing with this.
This ain't me.
And then after that, I was stuck in this random recorded cycle, like Monday through Friday. Whenever I woke up, something in my mind just kept saying, I can't live like this. My life don't have to be like this. And it was literally like where I couldn't even change my mindset. Like, it would just happen. Monday through Friday. It didn't happen on the weekends because I didn't have to work on the weekend. But Monday through Friday, it's like the first thought, my life don't got to be like this. So from there, I just started taking steps and figuring out something that I can do. So I started my commercial janitorial company because it was a company.
How old are you around this time?
I was 26. I had my daughter on the way. I started my commercial janitorial company because it was a business that I could start making money right away. Because, like I say, most businesses like restaurants and clubs and stuff like that, for the most part, you don't make a real profit for 3 to 5 years.
Thanks.
And so with the cleaning, I didn't have much overhead. I used 1099 workers eventually, but most of it was me going directly, going and cleaning buildings and daycares and different things at night. and then at the end of the month, I can take, you know, just as much as I could was doing with construction, home cash. All right, bam, and I don't have a bunch of other people to pay because I'm doing it. So as you kind of start building that up, that's when I started getting the other accounts and hiring people and moving up from there.
Did you have a support system when you first started? So like most people, if they're gonna start there, they probably go get their cousin, their mom, or their
well, remember I'm in Dallas though.
Yeah,
you know
so
what I'm
the
saying?
support
So,
system.
Yeah, so I didn't have much of a support system at the time. My brother was just kind of getting here, right? And my kid's mom, she was there with me. She supported me in, you know, just a number of ways, just from, you know, knowing what I got to go through and, you know, just helping me with little paperwork and those type of things, like putting the website together. So, yeah, she was definitely in support. My sister, she was still in Houston at TSU or TCU, she don't. But one of the two, she graduated from Love You.
Fort Worth or Houston?
She was in Houston.
Okay, TSU.
Okay, my bad, TSU. Okay.
Shout out to the Tigers.
Yeah. Yeah, so she was still there. My mom was here, but what I would like to say is that it was something brand new for my close people around me, right? So the support they could give me was whatever I'm doing and what I say, let's do this and that. But it was me coming up with the ideas, being creative, coming up with the next move to actually do because it was something out of their realm of actually doing.
Was it a time that you wanted to give up in the cleaning business? Can you take me through a time and how you overcame it?
So in my first year, I ended up buying one of those trucks that, you know, they like to call them, you know.
Worker trucks?
Yeah, it was a worker truck, but you know, they give them other names. The Creeper Man truck, the Creeper Man van. Yeah, the Creeper Man van.
When you pull out.
Yeah, so I got one of those, and it was raggedy, right? All the paint chipping off and whatnot. And then I got a contract, so we was living in like Plano area, and it was out on 380.
Okay.
So it used to break down like it should overheat, put like that, all the way there every day. And I had a huge contract of like 50 apartment complex units we were doing construction clean.
Okay.
So I didn't really even know how to do construction clean. They was teaching me how to do it as I was doing it, and I had 50 units to do.
They was telling you what you were messing up on, basically.
Right, exactly. But I had never did it, right? And then so on top of that, because the job was so big, I didn't have any workers except for my brother and some people that I had met at the other jobs, right? So, you know, building a friendship with them. And so we working, and, you know, of course, they want to get paid more than I'm getting, sooner, right? In a different fashion than I'm getting paid.
They think you making a lot.
Right, they want to get paid every 2 weeks.
Y'all be making this.
Exactly. And so they like, man, it's Friday, man, we need to get paid. And this and that. I'm like, man, I'm not getting paid for 30 days, so I got to give them, you know, whatever I can out of my pocket. This van keep breaking down. And then to make it so bad, kind of towards the end, he completely didn't pay us at all. Didn't pay me at all.
Okay.
Right, so I completely got played on getting paid. This was my first big job. And of course, I mean, I didn't have the money to pay my brother and my friends that helped me on the job. No, they found out that he really didn't pay. They believed me. But of course, they was pissed off. They never wanted to help me do anything, right? From that day forward. And just being out and being an entrepreneur and that being your first opportunity, and then to get played like that and not get paid for all the hard work. One night, I stayed by myself all night, and I finished like 4 apartments by myself. And you know, it was like 2 hours per apartment because it's construction clean. So I'm talking about to 7 o'clock in the morning to where the dude, yeah, exactly. So the guy who was supposed to pay us, or pay me for the contract, he even showed up that morning and was like, man, you didn't do all this by yourself. I'm like, man, I did all of these by myself all night. So anyway, went home for about 2 hours, came back, and then that's the same day that I found out we wasn't getting paid. And so, I mean, he gave us an excuse about him not paying us, but in the long run, we never got paid.
What was the excuse? His bank account froze?
Well, he was just saying something about, because, so there's a builders, and then he had the contract for the construction clean, and then I was sub for him. So he was saying he wasn't getting paid from them just yet. But then overall, as I was coming back to the job site, he wasn't there anymore. And so I'm speaking to the builders of the apartment complex, and they already paid him. And, you know, my contract is not specifically with them. So
I'm going through there with trucking right now.
Hey, I've
$3,000 I ain't get paid. Kind of running me high.
It was the funny thing. It was about that same for me. It was about $3,000. So for me, starting new entrepreneurship, and I was gonna get my first, you know, $3,000, $4,000 check for my first big job like that. That crushed me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm already paying them early, and I don't got a job. You see me? So I gotta get paid somehow, some way. And then so that was one thing that initially made me want to give up kind of what I was doing. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I felt like I kind of knew that at some point, some type of thing was going to happen. Not particularly that, but it was going to be some struggles, some trials and tribulations that I was going to have to eventually get through in business. And experiencing that early on is definitely something that kept me going through many of times of not getting paid, coming up, you know, short on pay for fake excuse about this or that, you know what I mean? So
I'm going through an excuse. They first excuse, they bank account got froze. Then they were gonna send me a check. Now they want my bank card number to send it on that. Man, there's so many excuses they come up with. I can't really even do nothing.
Yeah, that's what sucks. Like when you
so much you can do though.
When you don't have them direct contracts, man, it really sucks.
So what advice would you give your younger self? Because you gotta try. You gotta try. As somebody new, you gotta take the road that people tell you not to take.
Right.
Because you gotta go through it. Even though they telling you don't do it, I'm not getting no work. Yeah. I gotta do something.
Yeah, no. I made a video the other day. It was like people think that when they don't take risks, they don't miss anything, but you miss out on the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
You
like,
miss out on a lesson.
You get the lesson, the opportunity, the chance to actually get something done. So you actually do miss something by never taking risks and always playing it safe. But what I would tell my younger self, I mean, honestly, it would be to be more organized, right? Okay. If I can plan things out a lot better versus just, you know, going off the seat of my pants with this opportunity over here, this opportunity over there, and kind of chasing, right? Versus planning some things out and just following a proper plan early on. I think I would have made out even better because I did make out great. Like in my first 14 months, I did like 260,000. Right, I had a lot of contracts. I just had an opportunity come to me, and I was willing to take it on. And so I did good, but again, it was very sporadic of, you know, stressing over who can I get to work and how do I find workers and all this stuff versus having a plan for how do you find employees, right? Okay. How do you create some type of business relationship to get your equipment sent to you, you know, properly and maybe some type of discounted accounting professional people, right? Yeah. So I wish I would have did some of those things early on, and I believe it would have helped me out building better relationships and moving a lot faster because, to be honest, I messed up some things too, right? So then I'm to blame of some relationships not actually working out because you're supposed to be the boss, you're supposed to have your things in order, we didn't get paid or this didn't go right, and it's your fault.
You would have used them net 30 credits.
Well, yeah, I definitely wish I would have knew stuff about business credit a little bit earlier. I did learn sooner than later, but knowing it a little bit earlier, and even man, just if you decide to, you know, become an entrepreneur. Like setting stuff like that up before you dive all the way in, right? Keep your job, and then on the side, you know, make sure your credit get right. Make sure your business plan is right. Go take the proper meetings. Go get your mentor while you still got the job, and then you setting up your business foundation.
Was your personal credit good back then?
Man, I couldn't even tell you.
You know?
I couldn't even tell you. Like I said, it wasn't until things started getting great, and then I'm learning this information, then I started keying into like, okay, let me, you know, fix my credit and whatnot. But so I remember using my credit from, you know, 18 to 20, but I'll tell you like this, when I left, one of the last things I did was get a payday loan, and then I left Missouri.
Never paid it back.
Never paid it back.
So Did you have a mentor in your 20s?
Actually, I didn't, and I again, that's something that I didn't. I didn't have I would say I didn't have a mentor in regards to when I started my cleaning business. Right, it was well into 3 or 4 years. I started using Score. I don't know if you heard it before, but it's like a program where they have mentors for free and whatnot. And I got into some of those programs. But I definitely didn't seek. I was just seeking out a program. I didn't really know that you was going to get a mentor, right? I was just seeking out whatever program they had you in, and maybe you take some classes. They teach you about structuring your business or doing some or business growth. But they set you up with a mentor. So I started with that, and then I started just thinking about or reading. And just thinking about, okay, maybe I should figure out ways how to get my own mentor. Then get a mentor that, is at least had a cleaning business before or, very knowledgeable about it.
Did you like the mentor that Score gave you, or how was that experience?
I will say he had the car that I wanted.
There was motivation there.
Yeah, there was some motivation there.
Motivation.
Right, he had the car that I wanted, but no, so what he did was he got me out of that living by the seat of your pants mindset, right? Because
Explain that.
So I didn't. So living by the seat of your pants is basically, whatever comes your way, you getting pulled this way, get up there and do it. If something over here, you get up over here and do it, right? So you don't really, you have no structures. Whatever comes your way during the day, you just kind of doing whatever needs to be done at the moment. It's not saying you're not getting stuff done, but distractions can come your way because you're just doing whatever. But if I'm sitting here focused, I got a plan, I got a guide. And that was one thing he said to me. He was like, even when you write your business statement, it gives you a guide of what you should be doing every single day, right?
Should be working towards.
Exactly. Whatever I'm doing today, is it working towards whatever I said was my business plan, my business outline? And so he helped me with things like that. I mean, I guess just being who he was able to identify that, I was just, whatever coming up, whatever's next, that's just kind of the way I was moving at that time.
So after your commercial cleaning business, what was your next business venture? The trucking service?
No, so it wasn't particularly the trucking. So what happened for me, as I said, when I started my cleaning business, it was just about money, right?
Okay.
It was no passion there. I was just looking for an exit. I was looking to create time freedom to eventually get me to financial freedom, right? And so from there, I started going into real estate.
Okay.
And so I was going into the real estate seminars and just soaking up whatever game that I could on the real estate side. And then that's when I started doing wholesaling. So it took a while, but I did 1 or 2 wholesale deals. But I mean, honestly, it's formally known as a business, but it was almost still a hustle, right?
Yeah.
Because it was every now and then, right? I wasn't in a situation where I had a system set up for leads to come in or anything like that. It was really just me getting on the internet, word of mouth, knocking on doors. This is before you were doing inbound ads and stuff. This was me knocking on doors, looking for tall grass, right? Setting out bandit signs, those type of things. So that's what I had got into next.
That's what they tell you to do at the seminars, though.
Right, exactly. But remember, this was 2019, right?
Okay.
So this is before, like I said, the inbound ads and stuff like that. So it was old school way, you know what I mean? At least that's what they call it now. And they was telling me about postcards and this and that, but I'm like, I didn't want to invest my money into that. And then, of course, there was also the OPM, ask other people for money, team partnership. But one thing about me is I've never been the one to be trying to ask people for money, right? Yeah. I feel like it take too long sometimes.
Yeah, so the percentage get cut down
right.
once you get in it.
Right, exactly.
The percentage get cut down. It sounds good.
And the person who comes with the money want the most percent.
And don't get me wrong, it can be profitable, but I look at everything like the leagues. It's 200 million. It's 100 million people that want to be in the NBA. Then it's 200 people that's in the NBA.
Right.
So that's in every industry.
Right.
You just look at the TV and look at it as I can be there, I can do that. But what set the difference is you got the LeBron James that paved the way for Bronny James, so they take up 100 of the slots and stuff.
Right.
That's just giving them the game. Then you got the 50 people that's actually putting in the work. Then you got the 20 people that's just talented and fall in their lap.
Right.
And there's 100 people, 100 million people on the outside looking in, trying, but people don't like to put up the shots, and the shots is you missing. You messing up.
Right.
That's the only, that bring the best knowledge to me.
It's taking the chances.
Taking the chances and the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are I said something like this the other day. I think that a lot of people focus on precision, right? Mm-hmm. They try to, be precise in everything they do, when life, like I said in the video that I posted the other day, life is more of a dice roll, right? Okay. Like, you got to get out there and just see what you make of yourself, what you make of a situation, versus, try to actually, be precise about whatever it is that you're doing, you know what I mean? And so, you gotta take those chances, bro. You never know. You can do one right thing, and then all it takes is one time, right? One hit, one time. Yeah, exactly. One hit, one right opportunity, one good dice roll to hit, and boom, now you got $1 million or 1 million followers, or you got a huge life-changing opportunity.
With the social media being such an impact in entrepreneur lifestyle, how do you feel about social media, and when did you get your 100,000 followers? Was it did you have to work less, work more?
Well, so personally, in regards to entrepreneurship and social media, I think a lot of people, they see highlights, right? You see the highlights of entrepreneurship, right? You don't really see the hard work. I like to say that champions are celebrated in the ring, but it's what they do outside of the ring that actually make them a champion. So you're seeing champion activities, you know what I mean, on Instagram, but it's the real hard work. And so that kind of skews people' mindset of entrepreneurship and what they see it is, and then they come to find out all these actual activities consistently that you have to do. And that's where a lot of people kind of fall short, is because they're not willing to put in the grind. They're not willing to stay out of the limelight long enough, not spending, the amount of money that they used to spending on clothes, going out to eat, disappearing for 6 months, right?
Discipline.
Exactly, the discipline. It's not as common as most people think. Like, you can create a whole formula, but when it comes down to actually do it, a lot of people aren't going to actually do it. In regards to the social media, I've been working on my social media for years, right? Mm-hmm. I've been doing the same stuff. Like, sometimes I got inconsistent, but I was also building in the background. Okay. So I believe it was like the end of 22. It was in October 22 to like May 2023. I was off of Instagram and posting on social media, but I was actually working and building my brand back up and creating content, but not posting it, right? So now it comes to around where 24 and into 25, where I got over 100,000 followers. I'm posting consistently, right? Because I got a formula. I'm putting things together constantly. I'm understanding that everything is constant content, but I'm also understanding that you don't gotta be perfect.
Thanks.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to create the perfect video. Just post it, be consistent, because people like authenticity too.
Thanks. You just got over to TikTok, or you been over there? You trying to build it up over there, because TikTok is one of the main things.
Yeah.
Right now.
So I've been on TikTok. I have not been consistent on TikTok as I should be. I like it that it's very organic, and it's more or less conversational kind of a space, right, where you just get on there and talk and tell people about yourself, and then you can still get a lot of interaction just from doing that, versus putting on some type of display of whatever, a show or whatnot.
Thanks. We just talked about Instagram and how it ties into entrepreneurship. Take me through a day in the life of your life. The time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. One of your most busiest days.
I would say a lot of days are different, but that's because, you know, a lot of things happen in entrepreneurship, right? Sometimes things change. You got to be out all night. Something, you know, this new opportunity change your schedule. But when things are going the way they're supposed to be, when I'm like got my foot on the gas and I'm, you know, sticking to my scheduled plan, I wake up about 3:30, 4 o'clock.
In the morning?
Yes, sir. 3:30, 4 o'clock. I do affirmations, some visualizations. I get my meditation knocked out. Then I hit the gym, right? So I try to be at the gym by 5:30. Get that knocked out, and then I'm coming back home. Sometimes I like to create and schedule my posts for the day, so I can get those things out the way. The same reason why I go to the gym so early, because you know, once a bunch of stuff start getting in the way, you kind of push that to the back, you burner. So I like to get some of those stuff out the way. My reading, right? I like to read daily, get that knowledge, that information.
Some of the books you're reading right now?
So right now I'm working on my book.
Okay.
Right. Unchained, redefining life through thought and action. So that will be out soon. So I haven't been reading, but mostly what I read is self-help books.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that I was ever an avid reader, but once I understood that, you know, success leaves clues, and a place that they leave it is in books, that's when I just started taking to it, because, you know, information is key to any amount of success. So that's why I just like to get all my information. But after that, man, you know, midday, I take a nap at 12.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I take a nap at 12 because I'm up so early, you know what I mean? But then I'm just attacking the day, right? Anytime, you know, complaints and stuff, you know, I got to deal with those. Then I'm working on my sales.
Okay.
I'm getting, you know, just talking with my sales team. I got meetings for any type of new opportunities. So I schedule all my Zooms, and then I'm also a business coach. So then if I have some Zooms with any mentees, I get those. I like to get that done before 3 or 4. And then from there, I just be very creative kind of on that latter end of the day. And then Monday through Thursday, I like to get to bed at 9:30. Because I like to think that not too much is going on after those times. People are like, you're an old man, but I'm like, man.
It's still 6 hours if you're getting up at 3:30. So
yeah, but I'm saying like,
sleep.
yeah, but what I'm saying is like, man, after 9:30, 9 o'clock, people ain't doing nothing but watching Netflix and messing around though. So, you know, that's why I'm like, you know, I'd rather capitalize my time during the day and then just kind of bring it around like that, go to sleep early. And then, you know, I kick it on the weekends, but sometimes when you're growing, the weekend is a cheat code. So people remember that the weekend can be the cheat code for you if you growing yourself.
You was just in a documentary. Can you give us a little bit about that and where we can find it?
So it's on Amazon. Shout out to my guy Tim Jackson. I'm in the
Amazon. Okay.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Shout out to my guy Tim Jackson. It's called How to Kill a Black Man. And so basically it just goes through, on my part of the documentary, it just kind of goes through my personal life, some of the trials and tribulations that I went through, some of the things that changed me, right? I was shot before, I've been robbed, stabbed, you know, in long stints in jail. So just like how it came full circle of the things I used to do and just growing up to who I am now.
Okay.
And it's got the same amount of things with other people into it as well.
Okay.
Yep.
So you tell the people how can they find your mentoring program and
Oh yeah. So Santo World on IG, on TikTok, Twitter, if people still get on that. So Santo World is how you can find me on you know, all my social platforms, and just get in touch with me. I talk back still, you know. So don't be afraid to reach out to me.
Hey now, say now. My boy John telling me we finna be out of time. I guess the camera running short, so I'm gonna have to wrap it up.
Went fast, man.
Good 40 minutes to an hour.
Yes, sir.
My boy Mr. Cole, I ain't gonna butcher his first name, Santo. Y'all check him out on IG. Check out his mentoring program. And peace, love. It's your boy 10. Talk with 10.
Appreciate you.